Welcome to Zarpado. Want to learn 2 hours of fun facts you didn't know? Subscribe and like this video. We're starting now. Spoiler, you won't remember them all, because this is starting right now. The Roman Colosseum wasn't just an open-air stadium. Romans built a massive canvas awning system called the velarium to shield it from the sun. Moving this mechanical monster took hundreds of expert sailors from the naval fleet, climbing the stands and hauling ropes and pulleys to unfurl the roof. The first time a human ever heard thunder was roughly 45,000 years ago. According to archaeological records, when modern humans reached Australia and started recording natural events in caves. Thunder is nothing more than the shock wave created when a lightning bolt causes the air to expand instantly. 80% of knee pain has nothing to do with the knee at all. It usually comes from weak glutes or stiff ankles. If your hips can't stabilize your leg while walking, your thigh bone rotates inward, forcing your knee to absorb a twist it was never built to handle. The silkworm has been domesticated for thousands of years, and it's lost every wild instinct it once had. It can't fly. It can't camouflage. Its digestive system is so specialized it can only eat mulberry leaves. If humans stopped breeding them today, the species would go extinct within months. They simply don't know how to survive alone. Severe acne scars are structural, and no cream on earth can erase them. When a deep pimple bursts beneath the skin, it destroys tissue, and the body rushes in collagen to patch the hole in a messy repair job. What's left is rigid scar tissue, the only real fix. Dermatologists using lasers or microneedling to rebuild the skin from scratch. The glass at bus stops is engineered to shatter into thousands of small, rounded pieces instead of sharp shards. A heat treatment puts the surface under tension, so if a car slams into the stop, nobody dies from a blade of glass. Chinese tangram looks deceptively simple, with just 7 geometric pieces. But computers have calculated that those 7 pieces can form more than 6,500 distinct, recognizable shapes. People, ships, animals. It's proof that creativity doesn't need infinite materials, just infinite rearrangement. The Pygmalion effect proves something unsettling. Tell a teacher that an average student is secretly a genius, and that student's grades will actually improve by the end of the year. The teacher, without even realizing it, pays closer attention and explains things better, turning a lie into a real result. There's a good chance some of the water you're drinking right now once passed through a dinosaur. Earth's water cycle is essentially a closed loop. Water is never created or destroyed. Dinosaurs ruled the planet, drinking and excreting for over 160 million years. So countless water molecules alive today once passed straight through them. Brazil's favelas aren't chaos. They're a brilliant, self-organized urban ecosystem. Since the government never planned streets on those steep hillsides, residents invented cascading construction. One house's roof becomes the next house's foundation. They even developed their own informal postal codes and shared wiring networks. Frozen fruit can actually be more nutritious than the fresh fruit at your grocery store. Fresh fruit gets picked while still green, so it survives weeks of shipping, losing vitamins the whole way. Frozen fruit gets harvested at peak ripeness and flash frozen within hours, locking in nearly all of its nutrients. Dopamine isn't the happiness chemical, it's the chasing chemical. The moment you hit your goal, your brain wipes out the satisfaction fast, pushing you toward the next one, because an ancestor who felt content after one meal would have starved the next day. Evolution built you to never stop wanting more. Your TV attracts dust way faster than any other piece of furniture. Even modern flat screens generate an electrostatic field from the movement of electrons, and that field acts like a magnet, constantly pulling floating dust particles out of the air and onto the screen. An anteater's tongue can stretch up to 2 feet long. It's anchored to the breastbone, not the throat, and it can dart in and out of its mouth up to 160 times a minute, coated in sticky saliva that traps thousands of ants in seconds. And it doesn't have a single tooth. Saturation diving might be the most extreme, highest-paying blue-collar job on Earth. These divers can earn over $1,000 a day repairing oil rigs hundreds of feet underwater. To avoid weeks of decompression, they live for weeks straight, sealed inside a pressurized underwater capsule. Switzerland's military air bases are carved directly into the Alps. With almost no flat land to work with, the country built its bases straight into the rock. Hike through the mountains, and suddenly a fake stone wall swings open, launching a fighter jet toward a hidden runway in the valley. The Rosetta Stone, the object that unlocked Egyptian hieroglyphics for the modern world, disappoints pretty much everyone who reads it. No pharaoh's secrets, no ancient spells, just a dry tax exemption decree for priests, basically an ancient government memo. Madrid's Puerta de Alcalá has two completely different faces. King Charles III commissioned architect Sabatini and loved both of his design sketches so much he couldn't choose. So Sabatini just built one design on the front and a totally different one on the back. Clothing stores tuck fitting rooms in the back left corner on purpose. The longer walk forces you past more merchandise, turning your trip to try something on into a forced tour of the entire store and dramatically raising the odds you'll grab more on the way. A fighting bull has one key feature a regular cow doesn't: the Murillo. It's a massive hump of pure muscle at the base of the neck, the engine behind every charge, strong enough to toss heavy objects on its horns. The picador's lance in a bullfight targets that exact muscle, forcing the bull's head down. Why does touching something freezing feel like it's burning you? It's a neurological short circuit. When cold gets extreme enough to start destroying tissue, your body fires off its maximum pain signal. Since deadly heat and deadly cold both travel the same nerve pathway to your brain, your mind gets confused and reads it as fire. That buzzing sound near an electrical transformer is called magnetostriction. Inside sit massive iron plates and an electromagnetic field, flipping direction 100 times a second. That magnetic force physically stretches and shrinks the heavy iron plates at a microscopic level, vibrating the air around it. The tiny nation of Liechtenstein once offered to rent out the entire country for private events for around $70,000 a night. The package included lodging for 150 guests, a wine tasting in the prince's own cellar, and custom currency and road signs made with your name on them for the duration of your stay. The Parenti, Australia's largest monitor lizard, can grow up to 8 feet long. Normally it walks on all fours hunting for food, but when it's startled or needs to move fast, it does something unsettling. It rears up on its hind legs, balances with its stiff tail, and sprints upright like a velociraptor at nearly 25 miles per hour. A koala's brain is almost completely smooth. Human brains are packed with folds to squeeze in more neurons, but a koala's brain looks like a smooth chicken breast. The reason is diet. Eucalyptus is toxic and barely provides any calories, so evolution favored a brain that burns as little energy as possible just to survive. Canary Island bananas and regular bananas are not the same fruit. The Canary variety grows in subtropical volcanic soil, takes longer to ripen, and packs in way more starch that converts to sugar. American bananas hold more water and grow bigger and smoother. The American bison's massive hump isn't fat like a camel's. It's solid muscle anchored to elongated vertebrae, and it exists for one job: swinging the head side to side like a pendulum to plow through up to 3 feet of hard-packed winter snow and reach the grass underneath. Stop signs are octagons, and they're the only road sign in the world shaped that way for a reason. During a blizzard heavy enough to bury the text completely, a driver can still recognize the sign just from its silhouette, seen from behind or from the side. It's the only sign on the road built to be read without being readable. Vipers have the longest venom fangs of any snake on Earth. They're so absurdly long that if they stayed fixed in place, closing the mouth would puncture the jaw. So nature gave them a hinge. When the mouth closes, the fangs fold backward and lock flat against the roof of the mouth, just like a switchblade. Southern elephant seals can dive over 6,000 feet deep and hold their breath for 100 minutes straight. Their secret is blood that works like an oxygen sponge, storing 3 times more oxygen in their muscles and blood than a human before they ever go under. A blue whale's tongue weighs about as much as a full-grown African elephant, roughly 3 tons. The blue whale is the largest animal to have ever existed, bigger than any dinosaur that ever lived. Artificial intelligence was born from a summer bet in 1956. Scientist John McCarthy gathered a small group at Dartmouth University, secured funding from a private foundation, and confidently claimed that in just 2 months, they'd teach machines to use language and crack the mysteries of human intelligence. The used car market got permanently broken by the whiplash effect of 2021. During the pandemic, microchip factories shut down, leaving no processors to build new cars. Rental companies bought up used cars in bulk to fill the gap, draining the supply and sending prices through the roof for everyone else. Train wheels aren't straight cylinders, they're cone-shaped. On a curve, the outer wheel automatically rolls on the wider part of the cone, covering more distance than the inner wheel, no differential required. Behind every large aircraft hangs an invisible tornado. Wingtips generate 2 horizontal vortices known as wake turbulence. If a small plane lands too soon behind a large one, that invisible tornado can flip it upside down onto the runway. That's exactly why minimum separation distances exist. The leatherback sea turtle is the largest sea turtle on Earth and can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. Its entire throat and esophagus are lined with hundreds of giant backward-facing spines called papillae, designed to swallow venomous jellyfish whole without letting them slip back out. Bird flu doesn't stay confined to birds. Massive outbreaks have hit seal colonies, where the virus jumps from seabirds to marine mammals and triggers severe pneumonia. Infectious disease doesn't respect the line between land and sea. Volleyball was invented in 1895 for older men who didn't want to sweat. A gym teacher noticed basketball was too rough for the middle-aged businessmen at his club. So he raised a tennis net, softened up the ball, and invented a sport originally called mintonet. Tetrachromacy is basically a color superpower. A typical person has 3 types of cone cells and can see about 1 million colors. But some women carry a mutation on the X chromosome, giving them a 4th cone type, letting them see up to 100 million colors, spotting shades where everyone else just sees a flat block of color. Bronze statues that get touched a lot never turn green. The natural oils in human hands form a protective barrier that keeps oxygen and moisture off the metal. That's why the foot of a famous statue everyone touches stays bright and shiny, while the rest of it slowly oxidizes. Chile's Alerce Gran Abuelo could be over 5,000 years old, according to one scientific estimate, making it a candidate for the oldest living non-clonal organism on the planet. This Patagonian cypress was already a full-grown tree before humans invented writing or built the pyramids of Egypt, and it's still alive and growing today. Ants navigate in perfect paths using pure chemistry. The first ant wanders randomly, then leaves a trail of invisible pheromones on the way back once it finds food. The shorter and straighter the path, the faster ants travel it, laying down more pheromones each trip until the most efficient route becomes the busiest highway. The eland, one of Africa's largest antelopes, has a strange, noisy secret. When adult males walk, you can hear a sharp metallic click echoing hundreds of yards away. It's their knee tendons snapping against bone, and they do it on purpose. The louder the click, the bigger and heavier the male, which helps avoid fights to the death. Seen from above, Barcelona is a perfect grid of octagonal blocks with clip corners. Urban planner Ildefons Cerdà designed it that way in 1860 for pure logistics. He cut the corners, called chaflins, to widen intersections so steam-powered trams could turn without derailing. The Tasmanian devil suffers from a cancer found nowhere else in nature. It's contagious. Cancer cells spread directly through bite wounds on the face during fights over food. The tumors grow fast, deforming the jaw and making it impossible to eat, wiping out entire populations and becoming one of the biggest threats to the species' survival. The gaur is the largest wild bovine on Earth. This wild Indian bull is so heavily muscled that adult tigers think twice before attacking it. A full-grown gaur has enough raw neck strength to toss a tiger into the air with a single headbutt. The Chicago River flows backward. In 1900, the city permanently reversed its course using a system of locks and canals. The river used to empty into Lake Michigan, the same lake supplying the city's drinking water, contaminating it with sewage. Engineers rerouted it toward the Mississippi instead, saving the population from disease outbreaks. The liger, a cross between a male lion and a female tiger, is the largest cat that has ever existed, and it's basically a genetic glitch. In lions, the gene that stops growth comes from the mother. In tigers, it comes from the father. Cross them, and neither parent passes on the brake, so the liger just keeps growing until its own heart can't handle the size. Modern trains don't make that classic clack-clack sound anymore because their tracks are continuous welded steel. To stop summer heat from expanding the metal and derailing the train, construction crews use hydraulic machines to physically stretch the steel rails before bolting them down, leaving them permanently under tension. The Arctic tern holds the record for the longest migration in the entire animal kingdom. Every year it flies from the Arctic to Antarctica and back again, covering roughly 43,000 miles. Thanks to that pattern, it experiences 2 summers a year and sees more daylight than any other creature on the planet. Hitting a pothole might seem harmless if your tire doesn't blow instantly. It's not. The impact crushes the rubber against the sharp edge of the pothole, snapping the steel cables inside the tire. Days later, air pressure pushes against that weakened spot, forming a bulge on the sidewall that can explode like a bomb at 75 miles per hour. The front desk of a hotel is basically a psychological battlefield. Receptionists absorb every ounce of a traveler's anger over things they never controlled. A lost taxi driver, a delayed flight, the rain. A good receptionist reads your body language the second you walk in and decides in seconds whether you need cheerful small talk or just a silent room key. Conversational narcissism describes people who hijack every conversation to make themselves the victim. Tell them you just landed a new job, and somehow they'll respond by talking about their own problems. That one-sided dynamic spikes your cortisol and drains your empathy without ever giving you anything back. A meerkat's dark eye rings aren't just decoration. Those rings of intensely black fur work exactly like the black paint baseball players wear under their eyes. They absorb the brutal glare of the African sun, letting meerkats stare straight up at the sky to spot incoming eagles. Those little black dots on the edge of your windshield serve 2 critical jobs. First, they hide the glue bonding the glass to the car frame so sunlight can't melt it. Second, since the metal frame heats up far faster than the glass, those dots create a gradient that spreads the heat out slowly, keeping the windshield from cracking under the stress. Traditional Italian pasta tastes better because it's pushed through bronze molds that tear the dough, leaving a rough, porous surface. Cheap pasta gets squeezed through Teflon molds instead, leaving it smooth and shiny. That rough texture is exactly what grabs and soaks up tomato sauce and oil like a sponge. The giant isopod lives in the cold, pitch-black depths of the ocean floor. Its metabolism is so efficient that one specimen in captivity in Japan survived 5 full years without eating a single bite before it finally died. They can grow up to 30 inches long, basically a pill bug the size of a small dog. A bike helmet isn't a shield meant to deflect rocks. It's made of expanded polystyrene, and its entire job is to shatter. As it crushes and cracks on impact, it absorbs the kinetic energy and buys your skull a few critical extra milliseconds of stopping time, the difference between a bruise and a fatal brain bleed. The wandering albatross has the largest wingspan of any bird alive, stretching up to 11.5 feet. A special tendon in its shoulder locks the wings open automatically, letting it glide thousands of miles across the ocean without burning a single gram of muscle energy. San Marino is the oldest republic on Earth, and it runs on a wild law. Two heads of state govern together, but only for 6 months at a time. Once their term ends, citizens get 3 days to file formal complaints about how they ran the country before the captain's regent go back to being regular civilians. The medieval village of Rupit in Catalonia is physically built on top of solid basalt rock, formed from lava that hardened millions of years ago. The streets aren't paved. The street is the raw volcanic rock itself, full of brutal, uneven drops, connected by an iconic wooden suspension bridge that sways with every step across it. The Maldives has a split personality that social media never shows you. The resort islands are private and luxurious, but the rest of the country is a strict Islamic nation. No alcohol allowed outside resorts, pork is banned at customs, and some beaches even have walls separating bikini zones because walking through town in a swimsuit is actually illegal. The dugong has bones so dense and heavy they work like submarine ballast. While it grazes on the seafloor, if its bones were spongy like a whale's, it would float right back up and burn way too much energy. Instead, a condition called pachyostosis thickens its bones, anchoring it to the bottom so it can eat in peace. Cigarettes wouldn't taste like tobacco at all without the additives. Tobacco companies mix in ammonia to release nicotine faster, sugar to smooth out the smoke, menthol to cool the throat, and hundreds of other chemicals that turn a cigarette into the most engineered addictive product in industrial history. The white tiger isn't a separate species. It's a Bengal tiger carrying a recessive genetic mutation that strips away pigment while keeping the blue eyes and stripes. For one to exist naturally, both parents need to carry that rare gene, which almost never happens on its own. The ones you see in zoos are the product of deliberate inbreeding. The mountain lion is the 4th largest cat on the planet, capable of taking down a 220-pound deer. But because of the bone structure in its throat, it's physically incapable of roaring. Instead, it purrs like a house cat, and when it needs to communicate across the forest, it lets out a high-pitched scream that sounds exactly like a human being. The crooked forest of Gryfino in Poland is home to roughly 400 pine trees, each one bent a perfect 90 degrees toward the north right at the base before shooting straight up. Nobody knows for sure why. Some blame World War II tanks. Others believe farmers in the 1930s bent them on purpose to harvest curved wood for boats. That metallic smell on your hands after touching coins doesn't actually come from the metal. Metal has no smell of its own. It acts as a catalyst, instantly breaking down and oxidizing the oils on your skin the moment you touch it. That metal smell you're picking up is literally your own skin reacting at a microscopic level. A red-necked wallaby can be raising 3 babies at 3 completely different stages all at once. A paused embryo inside the womb, a bean-sized joey inside the pouch, and an older joey hopping around outside that still pokes its head back in to nurse. The mother even produces 2 totally different types of milk from separate nipples to feed both babies at once. Mercury has the most violent temperature swings of any planet in the solar system. During the day, temperatures spike to 806 degrees Fahrenheit, but with no atmosphere to trap the heat, nighttime temperatures crash to nearly 356 degrees below zero. Not everyone has the palmaris longus muscle in their forearm. About 15% of people are born without it and never notice a functional difference. Some people are even born with an extra kidney and don't find out until an X-ray. Medicine likes to catalog the human body as standardized, but anatomy is anything but a factory mold. Dubai has abandoned supercars scattered around for one brutal reason. Failing to pay off debt in the UAE is a crime that lands you in prison. When an expat suddenly loses their job, panic sets in, and they book the first flight out, leaving the Ferrari or Porsche behind at the airport, keys still in the ignition, just to escape jail time. Point Nemo, out in the Pacific Ocean, is the single spot on Earth farthest from any landmass. It's so isolated that sometimes the closest humans around are astronauts aboard the International Space Station passing overhead. Space agencies actually calculate dead satellite crashes to land right there, safely, away from anyone. St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow isn't one church. It's 9 completely separate churches, built on a single stone foundation and linked together by internal hallways, each one crowned with its own colorful dome. It's one of the most spectacular architectural mashups on the planet. The sky is blue during the day because air molecules scatter blue light in every direction as sunlight passes through a thin slice of atmosphere. At sunset, the sun sits so low that light has to cut through way more atmosphere, and the blue gets scattered away completely before it reaches you. Only the longer wavelengths survive the trip. Reds and oranges. The black rhino has a pointed, prehensile upper lip, almost like a human finger. It uses it to grab branches with precision, strip off leaves, and dodge deadly acacia thorns without getting pricked. The white rhino, on the other hand, has a flat lip built for grazing grass. 2 totally different survival strategies, same ecosystem. Those wavy metal guardrails on highways aren't decorative. They're built to act like a spring. When a car crashes into one, the metal deforms and the posts bend backward, soaking up the kinetic energy of the impact. If they were rigid walls instead, the sudden deceleration would kill the driver instantly. A rabbit's teeth never stop growing for its entire life. If a rabbit doesn't have hard objects to gnaw on every single day to file them down, its teeth would keep growing until they pierce its skull or make it impossible to open its mouth, starving it to death. They're not chewing everything out of bad behavior, they're chewing to survive. Air conditioning wasn't invented for people. Back in 1902, Willis Carrier worked at a printing plant where New York's humid heat kept warping the paper and smearing the ink. He built the machine purely to strip moisture out of the air. The fact that it also cooled things down was just a happy accident. The suitcases pilots roll through the airport aren't the ones you'd buy at a regular store. They're purpose-built flight cases with steel or reinforced plastic shells and inline skate wheels, engineered to slide perfectly behind the cockpit seat and survive decades of daily abuse without the axle ever breaking. Liposuction doesn't cure obesity. It suctions out fat cells to reshape your body, but if you keep eating poorly afterward, your body doesn't care. The remaining fat cells simply double in size, and your body can start packing visceral fat around your internal organs instead, the most dangerous kind for your heart. Crocodiles deliberately swallow large stones called gastroliths that sit permanently in their stomachs. It works exactly like submarine ballast. The extra weight lets them sink lower in the water with zero effort, leaving only their eyes and nostrils poking above the surface for the perfect ambush. Gas prices aren't just about wars. During the 2020 pandemic, a wave of refineries shut down for good because they weren't profitable anymore. Now demand is back up, but there are far fewer refineries left in the world to process crude oil. And in parts of Europe, over 50% of the price at the pump is government taxes. Tuk-tuk isn't actually a word in the Thai language. The first models imported from Japan after the war ran on crude 2-stroke engines that made a thunderous, uneven racket at idle that sounded exactly like tuk-tuk-tuk, and the name just stuck. Fire behaves completely differently on the International Space Station. With no gravity, hot air can't rise, so flames don't form their usual teardrop shape. Instead, they burn as perfect blue spheres, and they snuff out fast because the smoke just sits there and suffocates them. Before the fire, Notre Dame's roof was nicknamed the Forest, built from more than 1,300 solid oak beams. Those trees were felled back in the 13th century, but they were already 300 to 400 years old at that point. The 2019 fire destroyed, in minutes, wood from trees that had been growing since the Middle Ages. The deep grooves running along a refrigerated truck's floor aren't there to stop pallets from sliding. They're engineered so cold air from the truck's cooling unit can flow underneath the entire load. If the floor were flat, cold air would just stay up top, and any boxes touching the ground would rot before the trip ended. Pareidolia is the psychological glitch that makes your brain see faces in random objects. like the front of a car or a piece of toast. It's an inherited survival instinct for spotting hidden predators in the underbrush in milliseconds, even though today it's mostly good for memes. It works with sound too, tricking you into hearing voices or words inside a running fan or flowing water. Life without bacteria would be catastrophic. If every bacterium on Earth vanished overnight, your stomach would instantly stop digesting food. Worse, the entire nitrogen cycle would collapse. Since soil bacteria are the only organisms capable of converting nitrogen from the air into nutrients plant roots can use, wilting every plant on the planet almost immediately. Chichen Itza was never just that one famous pyramid. It was an entire city home to the largest ball court in Mesoamerica, where the acoustics let you hear a whisper from 300 feet away. Its astronomical observatories were precise enough to predict eclipses with mathematical accuracy. The real mystery isn't the architecture, it's the collapse. The Maya abandoned this stone metropolis before the Spanish ever arrived, and archaeologists still argue over whether it was drought, disease, or civil war. Vicuña wool was the gold of the Incas, and under a microscope, it's pure engineering. Its fibers are covered in microscopic scales that interlock perfectly, trapping tiny pockets of static air inside. It works exactly like the vacuum walls of a thermos, sealing body heat away from the brutal cold outside. Maglev trains float on a magnetic cushion about 4 inches thick. By eliminating metal-on-metal friction completely, they can hit speeds of over 370 miles per hour while using less energy than a conventional train. There's a fully electric urban microvehicle built specifically for dense cities. It's barely over 3 feet wide, narrow enough to squeeze through tight doorways, but its frame can expand when it needs extra space for cargo or stability. The whole transformation is triggered from a smartphone app, reshaping what personal transportation even looks like. Miami once built what was, at the time, the tallest sandcastle on Earth. It topped 45 feet, taller than a 4-story building. Carved over several weeks using nothing but sand and water, it landed a Guinness World Record. The Burmese python can detect its prey's body heat from a distance using specialized heat-sensing organs. Once it strikes, it kills through constriction, tightening its grip only every time the animal exhales, so its lungs can never refill. Death comes by suffocation, with no visible external wounds. Mars is home to Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the entire solar system, standing nearly 3 times taller than Mount Everest. It's roughly as wide as the entire country of France. That light or extra virgin olive oil at the grocery store is often a quiet scam. That oil started out defective and rancid, then got chemically refined at high heat just to strip out the bad taste. Afterward, producers blend in barely 10% real extra virgin oil just to restore the color and sell it as premium. Source amnesia is a psychological glitch where you remember a piece of information but completely forget where you learned it. It's exactly what makes people so vulnerable to fake news. Without a memory of the source, your brain treats the claim as general truth, simply because it feels familiar. Robotics has a brutal contradiction at its core. Building a computer that can beat the world chess champion is cheap and relatively easy. But designing a robot that can open a door, climb uneven stairs, or fold a towel costs hundreds of millions of dollars and decades of research. What's trivial for a human is nearly impossible for a machine. The restaurant menu might be the dirtiest object you touch without even thinking about it. It passes through hundreds of unwashed hands every week. People cough over it, and unlike the plates, staff almost never disinfect it. Running a close second, the handle of the grocery store cart. Planes don't just drop out of the sky when every engine fails. They're engineered with a glide ratio that lets them travel about 9 miles forward for every mile of altitude they lose. From 33,000 feet, pilots get a solid stretch of silent gliding time to find a runway and land safely. The bar-headed goose can fly at altitudes above 23,000 feet, crossing straight over the peaks of the Himalayas during migration. Its hemoglobin captures oxygen so efficiently that it can survive at heights where a human would suffocate within minutes. That giant curved planes trace across the map isn't dodging anything. Since the Earth is a sphere and flat maps distort it, that strange arc, called a Great Circle Route, is actually the mathematically shortest, most direct path across the planet's curved surface. Nutmeg can land you in the emergency room. It's a natural pesticide the plant produces to defend itself. If a person eats a couple of heaping tablespoons at once, the myristicin inside acts as a powerful neurotoxin and hallucinogen, triggering rapid heartbeat, seizures, and a brutal hangover that can drag on for days. Nighttime rest stops are a danger zone for truckers across Europe. Organized gangs scout parking lots in the early morning hours, and while the driver sleeps, they slice open the trailer's canvas to check the cargo. If there's anything valuable inside, they can clear it out in minutes. A lot of truckers now route their seatbelt through the door handles just to make it impossible to open from outside. Blueberries aren't actually blue. Their skin is naturally packed with red and purple pigments. The blue you see is a structural color. A thin layer of natural wax on the fruit bends light, so it bounces the blue spectrum straight into your eyes. Crush one open, and you'll find a deep reddish tone underneath. Despite looking like muscle-bound killing machines, silverback gorillas are actually the group's peacekeepers and babysitters. When young gorillas get into an aggressive scuffle, the dominant male slowly steps in and pulls them apart with surprising gentleness. It's common to see one lying down, letting 4 or 5 babies climb all over its head without flinching. Ostriches don't bury their heads in the sand. That would suffocate them instantly. The myth exists because they build shallow nests dug into the ground, and several times a day, they dip their beaks in to flip the eggs. From a distance, out on the African plains, it just looks like they're hiding out of fear. Your voice shakes right before you cry because of adrenaline. Your body thinks it's about to need to run, so it stretches your glottis wide open to let in more oxygen. When you try to talk, you're forcing air through a throat that refuses to close, creating that uncontrollable lump and the vibration in your vocal cords. Vending machine chocolate is engineered with a higher melting point than the artisanal stuff. Manufacturers add specific emulsifiers, so the bar doesn't turn into mush if the machine sits in direct sunlight or the room temperature spikes, keeping its rigid shape right up until it hits your mouth. Traveling to a country with a different language and different customs puts your brain into a state of positive alert. It's forced to work overtime, processing unfamiliar stimuli, building new neural connections along the way. Studies suggest travel actually makes the brain more elastic and helps slow down cognitive decline. The country with the largest oil reserves on Earth isn't Saudi Arabia, it's Venezuela, sitting on more than 300 billion barrels underground. The problem is that oil is so thick, almost like black tar, that extracting and refining it costs a fortune, proving that holding the top spot doesn't guarantee being the richest country. Those metal nets bolted onto mountainsides aren't just static barriers. They're anchored with friction-based energy dissipators. When a 2-ton boulder slams into one at 50 miles per hour, the net slowly gives way over several yards. Thailand's elephant tourism industry hides a brutal secret called pha han, which literally means crushing the spirit. To make a wild elephant tolerate a rider, handlers rip the calf away from its mother, lock it in a tiny cage, and subject it to sleep deprivation and physical punishment until its spirit is completely broken. Luminol, the chemical forensic teams use to detect invisible bloodstains, also glows when it touches horseradish or certain types of bleach. That's why a scene lighting up under luminol doesn't confirm a crime until a specific hemoglobin test backs it up. Try humming with your nose pinched shut. It's anatomically impossible. Close your mouth, pinch your nose, and try to hum. You'll only get about half a second of sound before your mouth fills with air. Your vocal cords need a continuous escape route through the nostrils to keep vibrating and produce sustained sound. Banknotes are weighed with such insane precision that central bank counting machines can tell if a single bill is missing from a stack of 1,000 just by the total weight. No need to count them one by one, saving hours of manual work. The capercaillie goes deaf for love. When it opens its beak to full width to hit the highest note in its mating call, a physical fold blocks its ear canal, leaving it completely deaf for a few seconds. In that exact window, hunters or predators can walk right up to it, making noise, and it never hears a thing. Swimming might be the most complete workout there is, because water is far denser than air. Every single movement in any direction becomes strength training against constant resistance. And thanks to buoyancy, you weigh just a fraction of your actual body weight in the water, massively reducing the impact on your knees and joints. The megamouth shark is a giant over 16 feet long, discovered completely by accident back in 1976. Its deep-sea hunting strategy is one of a kind. The inside of its enormous mouth has tissue that actually lures in plankton and small fish, which swim straight into its stomach. Eyebrows matter more than eyes for facial recognition. A study out of the University of Lethbridge found that people struggle far more to recognize celebrities in photos with their eyebrows erased than with their eyes erased, because eyebrows provide the key contrast your brain relies on to identify a face. Japan's Miyake-jima Island sits on an active volcano that constantly leaks sulfur gas. Many residents moved back after being evacuated, but now they have to carry a gas mask with them at all times. The moment sirens go off warning of rising gas levels, everyone has to put theirs on immediately. The Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba is hiding a structural secret. The Arab builders recycled columns from Roman and Visigothic temples, all of them different heights. To solve the mismatched ceiling problem, Islamic engineers invented the double horseshoe arch. The lower arch holds the column, and the upper arch levels out the roof. Fainting goats, or myotonic goats, freeze up rigid the instant they hear a loud noise or spot a dog. Their muscles seize instantly. They don't actually lose consciousness. Ancient shepherds used to plant them among valuable sheep on purpose, so if a wolf showed up, the goat would freeze solid and become easy prey while the rest of the flock escaped. The Ringelmann effect exposes the dark side of teamwork. Researchers found that one person pulling a rope alone gives it everything, 100% effort. But add more people pulling together, and each person's individual effort drops noticeably, because people unconsciously hide behind the group's combined effort. Car hauler trucks look like an accident waiting to happen, but they're engineered to never tip over. Drivers load the heaviest vehicles on the bottom to anchor the center of gravity low. The hitch connects almost at road level, pulling the weight from underneath and physically preventing a rollover through curves. A mosquito can survive getting hit by a raindrop 50 times its own weight. Because its body is so absurdly light, it offers zero resistance to break the droplet. On impact, it just merges with the drop and rides inside the water as it falls, slipping out the side right before hitting the ground. The code 7500 is what a pilot types into the transponder if a flight is being hijacked. Activating it without saying a single word over the radio sends a silent alert straight to air traffic control, and instantly every radar in the area knows there's a maximum level security emergency underway. Cognitive load theory explains why you turn down the car radio when you're hunting for an address. Your brain has limited processing power, and to focus everything on vision and spatial calculation, it shuts down audio signals that would otherwise burn unnecessary energy in that moment. Sourdough bread is, quite literally, alive. It's a living symbiotic colony of wild bacteria and yeast that needs to be fed flour and water constantly, or it dies. Those bacteria pre-digest the carbohydrates and break down much of the gluten before baking, making it dramatically easier to digest than industrial bread. That 100% natural orange juice has an industrial secret. Brands squeeze the oranges, then store the liquid in oxygen-free tanks for months, a process that strips away almost all the flavor. Right before bottling, they inject flavor compounds engineered by specialized companies to make it taste like fresh orange again. Truckers are tracked by a sealed digital device called a tachograph that logs every second their wheels are moving. European law forces them to stop for 45 minutes after 4.5 hours of driving. Go over the daily limit by even a couple of minutes, and the fines run into the thousands of euros. Alopecia doesn't make hair fall out, it shrinks it. A hormone called DHT attacks the hair root, and the follicle shrinks a little more with every growth cycle until the hair turns nearly invisible and the pore seals shut completely. Hair at the back of the neck is genetically immune to this process, which is exactly why hair transplants last forever. Super tasters make up a chunk of the population, and they simply have way more taste buds on their tongue. For them, black coffee, grapefruit, or broccoli aren't just bitter, they're intensely, painfully bitter, purely because of anatomy, while everyone else enjoys them just fine. Your eyes hurting by the end of a day staring at a screen has nothing to do with blue light. When your brain locks in on a monitor, it shifts into hunting mode, and your blink rate crashes from 15 or 20 times a minute down to just 3 to 5. You're literally letting the moisture in your eyes evaporate. Venezuela's Mount Roraima is a lost world, a completely flat summit surrounded by cliffs hundreds of feet tall. It's so isolated that many of the insects and plants living up there don't exist anywhere else on Earth, forming a completely self-contained ecosystem. Rome runs more than 2,500 public fountains, flowing non-stop 24 hours a day. It's not wasteful. The entire aqueduct network depends on that constant flow. The avocado is basically an evolutionary ghost. It evolved a giant pit specifically so only massive megafauna, like multi-ton giant ground sloths, could swallow it whole and spread the seed. When those animals went extinct, the avocado was headed for extinction too, until early humans in the Americas saved it by planting it by hand. Seville's April Fair looks like a massive, open celebration, but it's actually incredibly exclusive. Of the more than 1,000 tents set up, the vast majority are strictly private. If you don't know a member willing to invite you in, you'll spend the entire fair walking the street listening to the party from outside. The Goliath bird eater is the heaviest spider on the planet, roughly the size of a dinner plate. It doesn't spin webs to hunt. Instead, it hides in the mud and ambushes mice, frogs, and even birds. Its fangs measure nearly an inch long, though its venom isn't lethal to humans. Wild yak blood is unlike any other animal its size. Its red blood cells are smaller than a regular cow's, but it has way more of them. That makes its blood incredibly efficient at grabbing the scarce oxygen in the freezing air nearly 20,000 feet up in the Himalayas. The manatee controls its buoyancy with gas. It has no swim bladder like fish do. To rise and sink in the water without wasting energy, it manages the gas levels in its massive intestines. Want to float? Hold the gas in. Want to sink down and rest on the bottom? Just release it. The okapi has zebra stripes on its legs, but the body structure of a giraffe. Its tongue stretches about a foot long and is so flexible it can clean out its own ears and wash its own eyelids. Despite its exotic look, it stayed practically unknown to Western science until well into the 20th century. The chamois leaps across nearly vertical ice cliffs without ever slipping, all thanks to its hooves. The outer edge is hard and sharp, built to dig into ice, while the inner pad is soft and rubbery. Step on smooth rock, and that pad acts like a suction cup, gripping the surface and defying gravity. You can bottle raise a tiger cub and it might seem gentle, but it will never be domesticated. Domestication is a genetic mutation that takes thousands of years to erase a predator's instincts, the same way it happened with wolves. A tiger still carries the genetics of a killer, and one sudden movement can flip that switch in a millisecond. Almost everyone has bleach and ammonia sitting under the sink. If you think mixing them will get your floor extra clean, it could kill you. Combine them, and you release chloramine gas, a toxic cloud that burns your lungs and eyes and can kill you before you even realize what's happening. People often assume East Asian eyes are smaller, but the eyeball itself is exactly the same size. The real difference is the epicanthic fold, an extra layer of skin and fat over the eyelid. Scientists believe it may have evolved as protection against Siberia's extreme cold, a kind of built-in thermal blanket for the eye, though its true origin is still debated. People with inflated egos don't mind a good debate, but hand them undeniable proof they're wrong in front of others. And they won't apologize. They'll suffer what some call a narcissistic collapse. Their ego is a fragile shield hiding deep shame, and when it cracks, they either lash out with cruelty or play the victim. Modern vending machines can spot a fake coin in seconds. They use infrared light, magnets, and precision gauges to check every coin's diameter, weight, and composition. Anything that doesn't match gets rejected instantly. Some machines even learn to recognize brand new coins through software updates. There's a coffee table out there with a built-in 27-inch high-definition touchscreen and its own mini computer. It lets you browse, stream video, or control your smart home devices right from the same surface where you set your coffee down, blending tech and design into everyday furniture. Get ready to have your mind blown by a sea slug with a superpower straight out of a movie. It can detach its own head from its body and grow an entirely new one from the neck up. Sounds like science fiction, but this little creature actually does it to survive. A wild example of nature hitting the reset button. Darius held the Guinness World Record for the longest rabbit on the planet. He measured 4 feet 3 inches long and was estimated to weigh over 44 pounds, a truly staggering size. He was calm and gentle, with soft, cream-colored fur typical of his massive breed. There are pentagon-shaped magnets designed to snap together into wildly complex geometric shapes. They let you build over 100 different structural combinations, and they double as a stress reliever, since connecting and pulling them apart is weirdly addictive. Ancient legend claims the Egyptian plover has a bizarre relationship with crocodiles. According to the old story, the tiny bird would fearlessly hop straight into the reptile's open jaws to pick leftover food from between its teeth, giving it a free dental cleaning. We always see the same face of the moon because of cosmic friction called tidal locking. Billions of years ago, the moon spun fast, but Earth's gravity kept tugging at it. That gravitational friction acted like a giant brake, slowing the moon's spin down until the time it takes to rotate once matched exactly the time it takes to orbit the Earth. A male deer's roar in the fall isn't just for show. The sound is so low, powerful, and constant that the vibrations physically stimulate the female's endocrine system. Basically, the male's roar is what triggers the females to ovulate and become ready to breed. The real killer in rivers isn't animals, it's the hydraulic. It forms behind big rocks or small waterfalls, where the current drops, slams the bottom, and rushes back up, creating a spinning cylinder of water and foam. If a swimmer falls in, the constant force pushes them down again and again, and not even expert rescuers can swim against it. Women can handle chronic internal pain far better thanks to estrogen and the body's evolutionary prep for menstruation and childbirth. Men, though, handle sudden acute pain and trauma better because of their sharp adrenaline spikes. The female body bounces back from muscle fatigue faster, while the male body has more explosive strength but takes longer to recharge. The whale shark can grow up to 60 feet long, though most hover around 40, and it swims with mathematical precision. Its pectoral fins work just like airplane wings, giving it lift so its dense body doesn't sink. The dorsal fin acts like a sailboat's keel, giving it stability. And that massive tail swings side to side, generating the thrust to move 20 tons without ever getting tired. On the surface of Mars, jumping would launch you 3 times higher than on Earth thanks to the low gravity. But here's the catch. With almost no atmospheric pressure, your sweat and tears would instantly evaporate, leaving you freezing cold while your skin burns from solar radiation. The poison dart frog does the exact opposite of camouflage. It paints itself neon blue, red, or yellow, a trick biologists call aposematism. It's a biological billboard screaming at predators that it's packed with lethal toxins. That warning saves fights, because predators quickly learn to link those loud colors with a deadly taste. The blobfish is the most unfairly crowned, ugliest animal in the world. It lives 3,000 feet down, where the pressure would crush a car. When fishermen pull it to the surface, the brutal drop in pressure makes its tissue expand and burst. It's not ugly, we're just watching it melt in an alien environment. At its normal depth, it's a completely muscular fish. Malaga Cathedral, La Manquita, started construction in the 1600s with blueprints calling for 2 massive towers. Today it only has 1. Legend says the money for the second tower got donated to the American War of Independence. The work was never picked back up. The cathedral runs perfectly fine inside, but locals affectionately nicknamed it after the gap it left behind. Sperm whales sleep completely upright, in groups of up to 10. They take a breath, straighten out, go still with their nose just grazing the surface, and hang there suspended in the water, looking like a forest of alien monoliths floating in the dark abyss. Dolphins can never fully fall asleep because their breathing is voluntary. If they lose consciousness, they drown. They're fixed, unihemispheric sleep. They literally shut down the left half of the brain to rest, while the right half stays awake with one eye open to keep swimming, breathing, and watching for sharks. Hours later, they switch sides. Once a year, the island of Bali goes completely dark for Nyepi, the day of silence. No lights, nobody on the streets, the airport shuts down, even the internet gets cut. Tradition says it's all done to trick evil spirits into thinking the island is deserted. Walking around the world 8 hours a day with no days off would take almost 1,000 days, about 2 years and 9 months. In the real world, dodging mountains, jungles, and borders, the first person verified to walk around the globe, American Dave Kunst, took 4 years and 3 months. He started with his brother, who was murdered by bandits in Afghanistan, and finished the journey with another brother by his side. Japanese scientist Hiroshi Ishiguro builds robots that look as human as possible, obsessing over details like facial expressions. He believes it'll soon be possible to build machines indistinguishable from real people. His most famous robot, the Geminoid Hey 4, is an exact copy of himself. The Sumidero Canyon in Chiapas, Mexico, formed more than 36 million years ago. Its walls reach up to 3,000 feet high, and the Grijalva River running through it is navigable. It's a protected area home to crocodiles, monkeys, and hundreds of bird species. From the lookout points, you can see the canyon's full depth laid out below you. Using technology NASA designed for its Mars rovers, the company Smart Tire built bike wheels called Metal, made from a nickel titanium alloy with shape memory. They can expand, compress, and bend, then snap back 100% to their original shape. No air needed, and they can't ever go flat. They're basically indestructible. Auroras form when particles from solar winds slam into oxygen and nitrogen molecules in the polar atmosphere. The ones in the Arctic are called northern lights, and the ones over Antarctica are the southern lights. The overall phenomenon is called a polar aurora. The colors depend on the type of gas and the altitude of the collision. Bumblebees can fly despite their heavy, bulky bodies, thanks to the unique shape of their wings and their powerful muscles. For decades, scientists thought it was aerodynamically impossible. In reality, their wings trace tiny figure-8 movements that create air vortices, generating just enough lift to keep them airborne. Social media apps like TikTok and Instagram are built like slot machines, handing you a hit of dopamine every 3 seconds. When you try reading a book that takes minutes to reward you, your brain goes into withdrawal and panics, screaming at you to check your phone. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a chemical hijack. When you cook salmon, a white, unappetizing paste oozes out called albumin. It's not bad fat or toxins, it's pure protein. Raw, it's liquid and invisible inside the muscle. When heat hits fast, the muscle fibers shrink and squeeze it out, where it solidifies. It's completely edible, but to avoid it, cook your fish low and slow. Big train stations are more dangerous than airports because they have countless unguarded street exits and total chaos of transient crowds. Pickpockets blend right in with disoriented tourists staring at the schedule boards while dragging heavy suitcases, letting thieves steal and vanish through any door in seconds. Coral looks like a plant, but it's actually a direct relative of jellyfish. It's colonies of tiny polyps with venomous tentacles that snatch and eat plankton at night. Since they can't move, they build calcium carbonate skeletons around themselves for protection, which is what forms the hard, branching structures we see. The original gazpacho wasn't red. Back in Roman times, or Al-Andalus, gazpacho was made with just bread, garlic, olive oil, vinegar, and almonds, what we know today as ajo blanco. Tomatoes didn't even exist in Europe until Columbus reached America in 1492, and it took centuries more before anyone thought to toss one in. Zippers have a built-in brake that almost nobody knows about. Leave the pull tab hanging loose, and the zipper can slide down on its own with body movement. But push the tab flat against your pants, and a tiny metal hook locks into the teeth, making it physically impossible for it to slip down. Your pupils can dilate up to 45% when you look at someone you're attracted to or feel a strong emotion. It's an involuntary nervous system response. Your brain wants to soak in as much information as possible about what's in front of you. A ferret can squeeze through pipes half the width of its own body because its spine has uniquely flexible joints that let it bend a full 180 degrees inside a tight tunnel. If it hits a dead end in a burrow, it doesn't need to back out. Its spine folds like an accordion and it just turns itself around. Air conditioning doesn't remove oxygen from a room. What it actually does is strip out humidity by running air through freezing cold coils where the moisture condenses out. The air coming into the cabin has basically zero humidity, so it pulls moisture straight from your nose and lungs, drying out your mucous membranes and making it feel like you're low on oxygen. An ant could fall out of a plane at 30,000 feet and hit the pavement walking without a single scratch. Because they're so incredibly light, their terminal velocity, the max speed they hit while falling, is only about 4 miles an hour. At that speed, the impact simply doesn't have enough force to crack their exoskeleton. Venice has a gruesome problem with its flood barrier called mows. The city has no modern sewer system. The tides are what flush the canals and carry waste out to sea. If they close the barrier too often to save the city from flooding, Venice risks literally drowning in its own sewage. For an asteroid to punch through 60 miles of atmosphere and blast a regional, catastrophic crater, the rock needs to be at least the size of a football field, somewhere between 150 and 300 feet across. A rock the size of a car just vaporizes in the air, creating one big shooting star. Flamingos are basically built upside down. Their lower jaw is huge, and the upper one is tiny. So to eat, they have to dunk their whole head underwater, flip completely upside down. Their beak has comb-like filters that strain the mud from the water, trapping only the tiny crustaceans that give them their signature pink color. The Mona Lisa was just an average painting until it got stolen in 1911. Before that year, almost nobody at the Louvre paid it any attention. An Italian thief hid it under his coat, and the world's press went insane for 2 years straight. When the museum reopened, thousands lined up just to stare at the empty space on the wall. By the time it was recovered, it had already become an untouchable icon. Milan's yellow trams, the 1500 series, aren't tourist replicas. They're the originals. Built in 1928, still running after nearly a century of non-stop service. Their design is so bulletproof that when San Francisco wanted to restore its historic fleet, instead of building new ones, it bought dozens of these original trams straight from Milan. Babies move slow and clumsy because their neurons lack myelin, the fatty sheath that insulates nerves like plastic coating on a copper wire. Without that insulation, The electrical signals the brain sends to the arms travel painfully slow and leak along the way. As kids grow and build up that myelin, their movements get fast and precise. The Voyager 1 probe is the farthest human-made object in the universe, over 15 billion miles out. To store the data it sends back, it doesn't use modern hard drives. It uses an 8-track magnetic tape recorder that physically fast-forwards, rewinds, and plays back out in the vacuum of space. The Pacific Ocean is bigger than all the land on Earth combined. Look at the planet from space aimed at the center of the Pacific, and you'll barely spot a single continent. You could take every continent on Earth, mash them together, drop them into the Pacific, and still have ocean left over. Bali is drowning in an apocalypse of over-tourism. Tourists are burning through as much as 65% of the island's entire freshwater supply just to fill hotel pools and water golf courses. It's drying up the Subak, the ingenious ancient canal system locals have used to farm rice terraces since the 9th century. If you chronically hold in the urge to poop, your colon keeps absorbing the water, turning it into literal stones in a process called fecal impaction. The European robin looks adorable on Christmas cards with its red chest. That color is actually its war paint. They're so aggressively territorial that if another male enters their turf, they'll fight to the death. Sometimes they even attack their own reflection in car windows until they hurt themselves. Hearing damage is one of the few injuries in the body that's basically irreversible. Inside your ear are thousands of hair cells, microscopic hairs that vibrate with sound. Extreme volume at a concert physically crushes and snaps those hairs for good. That ringing you hear leaving a club is your brain searching for a signal from cells you just killed. Only female mosquitoes bite humans. Males don't even have mouths built to pierce skin. They're peaceful vegetarians that live on nectar. Females suck your blood because they desperately need the protein and iron from your red blood cells to develop and lay their eggs. The captain of a massive cruise ship steers 200,000 tons with a small electronic joystick controlling azipods, underwater electric motors that rotate a full 360 degrees. The real terror of docking isn't moving the ship, it's the wind, since the side of the cruise liner acts like one giant, uncontrollable sail. Those light and dark stripes on a soccer field aren't different types of grass or paint. It's an optical illusion made by the lawnmower. The machine has a heavy roller on the back. Mowing one direction flattens the grass forward, reflecting light and looking bright. Turning around and mowing the opposite way flattens the grass toward you, casting shadow and looking dark. A forklift looks harmless, but it weighs over 3 tons and hides a deadly trap. It steers with the rear wheels, which makes the back end swing violently sideways in turns. Lift a load, and its center of gravity shoots up toward the roof. One sharp turn at just 3 miles an hour can flip it sideways, crushing the operator if they're not buckled in. Airport control tower windows are always tilted downward at a 15-degree angle. It's not about aerodynamics. At night, controllers have dozens of bright screens lit up inside. If the glass were straight, it would act like a mirror, reflecting those screens and blinding them completely, making it impossible to see the runway. Colombia is the only country in South America with direct access to 2 oceans, the Pacific and the Caribbean Atlantic. It doesn't need the Panama Canal to export to Asia or Europe. It's also home to the land bridge connecting the 2 Americas at the Darien Gap, turning it into a massive biological funnel and a global biodiversity powerhouse. The wild boar has the toughest skull in the animal kingdom. Its frontal bones are so reinforced that it can ram a predator or slam into a car and survive the head-on impact, something that would shatter the skeleton of almost any other animal its size and weight. Flight attendants aren't waiters. Aviation law requires them to be safety specialists trained to fight fires, perform CPR, restrain violent passengers, and above all, evacuate an entire plane of 300 people in under 90 seconds, in total darkness and filled with smoke. The coffee is just there to keep them busy. If your windshield were completely vertical, like cars back in the 1910s. At night, the dashboard lights would bounce straight off the glass like a mirror, blinding you and hiding the road. Tilt it back, and those reflections deflect toward the roof. Plus, you get the aerodynamic bonus of cutting through wind and saving fuel. Scorpions glow neon cyan under ultraviolet light. Scientists believe the scorpion's entire body works like one giant light-detecting eye. By converting moonlight into that glow, the scorpion knows exactly how much light is out there and whether it's safe to hunt without owls spotting it. The light from your phone screen tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime, blocking the release of melatonin. The more you use it before bed, the longer it takes to fall asleep, even if you don't notice it happening. And it's not a small deal. Chronic nighttime use fragments, deep sleep architecture, hurting memory, and your immune system. Surgeons wear green or blue because in the early 1900s, doctors discovered a deadly problem with white coats. After hours of staring at bright red blood, if a surgeon glanced up at something white, an optical illusion would briefly blind them. Green and blue sit opposite red on the color wheel, so looking at them resets the eye and cancels out that blind flash. 1 out of every 4 animal species on Earth is a beetle. There are 400,000 different species. Their evolutionary success comes down to the elytra, front wings that mutated into rigid keratin shells. By protecting their flight wings underneath, they can burrow underground, squeeze into rocks, or dive underwater without ever losing the ability to fly. That sharp squeal from your car brakes doesn't mean they're broken. It's a perfectly designed mechanical alarm. Brake pads have a tiny metal tab built in that, once the friction material wears down, deliberately makes contact with the spinning rotor. That awful screech is your warning to get to a shop before you're left with no brakes at all. The aqueduct of Segovia has been standing for 2,000 years without a single gram of cement or mortar. Its 20,000 solid granite blocks are carved with such millimeter-perfect precision that they stay locked together purely through weight and the mathematical balance of gravity. It survived wars, earthquakes, and 2,000 years of weather. Supli al telefono is a fried rice ball stuffed with meat sauce, a classic from Rome. Its nickname, telephone style, comes from a visual trick. Crack open a fresh one and split it in half, and the melted mozzarella inside stretches into one long, elastic thread, something that reminded old-school Italians exactly of the hanging cord on a wall telephone. Canker sores in your mouth are often just the fault of stress or an accidental bite. That tiny bite creates a microscopic wound, and your immune system panics, overreacting by sending white blood cells that spiral out of control and attack your own mouth tissue, carving out a painful little crater. That white stuff you see isn't pus, it's fibrin, a blood protein trying to patch the damage. A wild beehive inside a house wall can grow over 10 feet long if the bees are left undisturbed for years. It can hold more than 80,000 worker bees and store up to 220 pounds of pure honey, all structurally sound inside the wall. The common murra nests on the narrowest, most dangerous cliffs in the ocean. Evolution gave it eggs shaped like an elongated pear. If a gust of wind hits the egg, it doesn't roll straight off the edge, it spins in a tight, perfect circle, staying safe on the very same ledge. The tapir looks like a mashup of a pig and an anteater, but its closest relatives are actually horses and rhinos. Its nose is a flexible, prehensile trunk it uses like a hand to pull down leaves. It eats so much varied fruit that as it walks miles a day pooping out intact seeds, it single-handedly plants entire forests. The cheetah is critically endangered because it bet its entire evolution on speed, sacrificing strength along the way. It has blunt claws, hollow bones, and weak jaws. After a hunt, it's completely exhausted, and lions, hyenas, or leopards swoop in and steal the kill. Even worse, lions kill up to 90% of cheetah cubs just to wipe out future competition on the savannah. Supertankers can stretch over 1,300 feet long. They're so unbelievably heavy that if one is cruising at full speed and the captain kills the engines and slams the brakes, The ship will still take 15 minutes and drift another 5 miles forward purely on momentum before it fully stops. Arthropods like spiders, crabs, and scorpions wear their skeleton on the outside. Since that armor can't grow, they have to crack open down the back and crawl out of their own old exoskeleton. For hours afterward, their body is soft as jelly, and they have to hide in terror because any predator could eat them before oxygen hardens their brand new armor. Spacesuits are white because that color reflects extreme solar radiation the best. But astronauts wear orange suits during launch and landing because that color stands out the most against the blue of the ocean or sky in case they need to be rescued after an emergency. An adult male moose can stand over 6.5 feet tall and weigh 1,500 pounds. They're so massive and need so much sodium that they'll dive up to 20 feet underwater in lakes just to eat aquatic plants. Because of that, there are rare anecdotal cases of orcas attacking moose as they swim between islands, though it's definitely not a typical predator. The London Underground is the oldest subway system in the world, and blowing your nose after a ride turns the tissue black. It's not toxic coal or filthy grime, it's pure iron filings. Trains use friction brakes against steel rails dozens of times per trip, and that constant grinding vaporizes the steel into black dust. The muskox has an undercoat 8 times warmer than sheep's wool, plus a survival tactic straight out of ancient Greece. If a wolf pack attacks, they don't run. The adults circle up around the calves, facing outward with their massive curved horns, forming an impenetrable wall of flesh and bone. Without military training, an average city dweller would die in 3 to 5 days in the Amazon rainforest. The number one killer isn't the jaguar or the anaconda, it's water. The heat and humidity dehydrate you violently. Desperate with thirst, you drink from murky rivers loaded with pathogens, and within 48 hours you'd have dysentery, speeding up the dehydration until your body collapses. People who talk in their sleep have a glitch in their sleep paralysis system. When we dream, the brain sends a command to the spinal cord to paralyze every muscle, stopping us from acting out what we're dreaming. In sleep talkers, the body paralysis works fine. Drip irrigation turns deserts into farmland while saving up to 70% of agricultural water. Unlike sprinklers, which lose 40% of their water to solar evaporation, cormorants don't have waterproof feathers. Their feathers soak up water like a sponge. Once fully drenched, they lose all their buoyancy and turn into a heavy stone, which is exactly what lets them dive to incredible depths to fish. The downside, once they're out of the water, they have to stand for hours with their wings spread in the sun just to dry off before they can fly again. The 4 central columns of Istanbul's Blue Mosque are so ridiculously thick, over 16 feet across each, that Turks officially nicknamed them the elephant feet. They had to be that massive to support the crushing weight of the enormous central dome that seems to float in midair. The world's top-tier modern zoos have gotten rid of visible cages. At the Singapore Zoo, you walk around as if lions or elephants were roaming free right next to you. The optical illusion hides massive pits and glass barriers in dead-angle spots. The animals are contained, but visually, you and them seem to be sharing the exact same jungle with no cages in sight. The Kailasa temple in India wasn't built by stacking stone on top of stone. Ancient Hindu engineers found a giant mountain of solid volcanic rock and started carving from the top down, sculpting the entire temple, statues, columns, and hallways out of one single block of rock without adding a single brick. Street lamps sitting between 30 and 50 feet high is pure geometry. Any lower, and they'd create tiny circles of light that would blind drivers directly. Any higher, and the light would scatter into the atmosphere or get blocked by tree canopies. That exact height is the mathematical sweet spot for bathing the street in light without causing night blindness. The echidna is a spiky Australian mammal that lays eggs and has a reproductive organ with 4 independent heads. Since females have a reproductive tract split into 2 branches, using all 4 heads at once would cause damage. So during mating, the male shuts down 2 of the heads and uses only the other 2. The Cape buffalo kills about 200 people a year in Africa, with an aggression local guides describe as flat-out psychopathic. If a hunter shoots and wounds one, the buffalo doesn't just run, it circles back in complete silence and lies in ambush, waiting for its own hunter. It's one of the only mammals that actively hunts down humans out of pure revenge. In Japan, tipping is considered rude. The culture of omotenashi holds that delivering flawless service is simply part of the job. Leave coins on the table at a restaurant, and the waiter will chase you down the street, genuinely assuming you're an absent-minded customer who forgot their change. You could actually drink snake venom without dying, as long as you have no cuts in your mouth. Venom is made of proteins designed to be injected straight into the bloodstream. Swallow it, and your stomach acid breaks it down exactly like a piece of chicken. The real difference between venom and poison is simply whether you swallow it or something injects it into you. Big gyms don't actually want you showing up to work out. Their entire business model is built on selling the exact same machine to 10 different people. They count on 80% of new members quitting after the first month, but never canceling their membership. If every single member showed up on the same day, the gym would physically collapse. Forensic investigators can tell if a suspect was in a specific location just by analyzing the dust on their clothes. Dust from every home is unique, made up of a specific mix of bedsheet fibers, skin cells, and pet hair that works like a fingerprint for that exact place. Wind turbines are so massive that a single blade can be longer than a commercial airplane. Here's the wild part. The tips of those blades spin at nearly 185 miles an hour, generating so much pressure that they sometimes form their own little condensation clouds around them. The weasel has such a frantic metabolism that it needs to eat a third of its body weight every single day just to survive. They're so aggressive they can take down prey 10 times their size, like full-grown rabbits, by biting into the base of the skull to sever the spinal cord. Dogs tilt their heads when you talk to them because their long snout creates a huge blind spot in their lower field of vision. By tilting their head, they shift the angle so they can actually see your lower mouth and try to read your facial expressions better. They're not confused, they're just trying to see you more clearly. Castel Sant'Angelo in Rome started out as Emperor Hadrian's mausoleum, but its biggest secret is hidden in its walls. It's connected to the Vatican through a hidden elevated corridor, about a half-mile long, called the Passetto di Borgo. For centuries, it served as the emergency escape route for popes fleeing to barricade themselves in the fortress whenever Rome came under attack. Teotihuacan wasn't built by the Aztecs. When they arrived in the valley around the year 1300, the city had already been abandoned for almost 1,000 years. Staring at those massive, empty buildings, they figured only mythological beings could have built them, and named it the place where men become gods. To this day, we still don't know what language its builders spoke. Inside Jalapão State Park in Brazil, there are natural pools called fervaduros where it's physically impossible to sink. They're springs where underground water shoots up through incredibly fine sand at extremely high pressure. That constant upward push cancels out your body weight's gravity, keeping you floating effortlessly. The Great Mosque of Djenné in Mali is the largest mud brick building on Earth. The problem is, mud dissolves in the rain. That's why every single year, the entire city gathers for a mandatory festival to hand replaster every wall of the building with fresh mud so it doesn't collapse. In Switzerland, it's illegal to own just one guinea pig or one parrot. These animals are so social that the law considers it psychological abuse for them to live alone. Want one? The government requires you to buy it a partner so it doesn't fall into depression. The toggle light switch was invented with a hidden mechanical spring, specifically to stop the fires caused by old rotary gas switches. No matter how slowly you move your finger, that internal spring forces the metal contact to snap together instantly and violently, creating a spark so fast that nothing around it has time to catch fire. Nuclear icebreakers don't cut through ice with a blade. They use their brutal weight to climb on top of the ice sheet and crush it flat. They also pump hot water to the front of the hull to lubricate the path, so the ship never gets stuck, frozen solid against the ice. If you spot a tree wrapped in a thick, ghostly white spiderweb out in a field, it's not giant spiders. It's an army of thousands of ermine moth caterpillars weaving massive silk blankets together as a community, encasing the tree's leaves to build an impenetrable fortress where they can eat in peace, safe from wasps and birds. The Likoi cat looks like a house cat made up for a horror movie. A recent natural genetic mutation stops it from growing an undercoat, and it has no fur around its eyes or snout, giving it the exact look of a tiny werewolf. The reticulated python doesn't dislocate its jaw to swallow big animals. That's a myth. Its lower jaw is actually split into two independent halves, connected only by a super flexible elastic ligament. That lets it open its mouth like a stretchy net, spreading both sides of its skull apart to wrap around its prey. It's the longest snake in the world, and it can swallow an entire antelope whole. A classic yellow tow truck for rescuing a broken-down car runs between $75,000 and $95,000. But heavy-duty tow trucks, those four-axle monsters with robotic arms built to hoist a flipped-over bus out of a ravine or haul a 40-ton truck, those start at $500,000, easy. Gondola lifts don't have seatbelts, and that's on purpose. If there's an avalanche, a cable snaps, or a blizzard freezes the system, rescue crews or you yourself need to be able to jump into the snow fast. If your seatbelt were jammed with ice, you'd freeze to death stuck in the chair with no way out. In casinos, you don't gamble with cash, you gamble with colored plastic chips. That's not for convenience, it's a psychological hack called decoupling. Your brain doesn't register handling plastic as spending real money. Studies show gamblers bet up to 30% more when they're using chips instead of cash. Your brain has a cleaning crew that only clocks in when you're in deep sleep. Cerebrospinal fluid flows between your neurons, sweeping away the toxins that build up all day. Skip the sleep and that garbage just sits there, which is exactly why you feel foggy and irritable the next day. Dogs don't always eat grass because they feel sick. It's a primitive instinct called pica. Wolves eat grass to get extra fiber that wraps around intestinal parasites and flushes them out. Other times they just feel bloated and chew on long sticks that physically irritate the throat on purpose, triggering vomiting for instant relief. Gold is the world's safe haven asset because its chemistry is basically unbreakable. It doesn't rust, doesn't decay, doesn't react to water or air. A gold coin sitting at the bottom of the ocean for 400 years comes back up shining. And here's the kicker: Earth can't create gold. The Roman Forum spent the entire Middle Ages as a cow pasture. It was completely abandoned and buried under yards of dirt and mud. People at the time called it Campo Vaccino, the cattle field. For centuries, shepherds grazed their herds literally on top of the buried rooftops of the Roman Empire's temples. Once the heart stops, brain cells start dying irreversibly after just 4 minutes without oxygen. If nobody performs CPR in those first 4 minutes to manually pump the blood, even if doctors restart the heart 10 minutes later, the person will be left with catastrophic brain damage. Millions of people in South Korea believe in fan death. The urban legend says falling asleep in a closed room with a fan running can kill you through suffocation or hypothermia. Because of it, many fans sold there come with mandatory timers, so they shut off on their own during the night. Deer antlers are the fastest growing tissue in the entire animal kingdom, growing up to 3/4 of an inch a day. They're solid bone covered in a vascular tissue called velvet that pumps blood into them while they grow. Once the bone matures, the deer rubs off the dead skin. By year's end, the whole rack falls to the ground, and by spring it builds a brand new one from scratch. The Roman Colosseum isn't ruined just from time. Humans tore it apart. After the empire fell, popes and nobles stripped its marble slabs to build St. Peter's Basilica and their own palaces. Those thousands of little black holes in the walls are where citizens ripped out the iron clamps holding the blocks together, just to melt them down into weapons. Black holes aren't actually holes. They're spheres of matter compressed to such an extreme level that their gravity swallows even light itself. If you traveled toward one and fell in, you'd experience spaghettification. Gravity would pull on your feet millions of times harder than your head, physically stretching your body into a noodle of burning plasma. Pufferfish don't inflate with air like the cartoon show. When scared, they gulp down massive amounts of water at brutal speed. Their stomach is built to stretch up to 100 times its normal size, with no ribs to hold it back. It turns into a solid ball of water so huge and hard that sharks physically can't fit it in their mouths. The 500 euro bill got discontinued because it took up so little space that you could stuff 6 million euros into a small suitcase, making money laundering way too easy. Everyone knew the bill existed, but almost nobody had ever actually seen one in person. Dogs sniff each other's butts because they're reading the other dog's ID card. On either side of the anus sit two glands that release a unique chemical cocktail. With just one sniff, a dog's brain processes whether the other one is male or female, what they ate yesterday, whether they're stressed, and if they've met before. Plenty of cheap used German cars look incredible on the outside but are completely rotted underneath. During brutal German winters, snowplows dump salt all over the roads to melt the ice. That salt sticks to the car's undercarriage and literally eats away the steel from the inside out over the years. Drinking natural orange juice is almost as damaging to your liver as drinking soda. Eat a whole orange, and the fiber slows the sugar's path into your bloodstream. But squeeze 4 oranges, and you toss out all that fiber, left with pure water and fructose that hits your liver with a sugar spike just as violent as soda. The Artemis 2 mission isn't going to land on the moon. It's going to use the moon as a gravitational slingshot to launch the crew even farther out. Here's the wild part. They'll fly around the far side of the moon, completely cut off from Earth, traveling farther from our planet than any human being in the entire history of deep space travel. Poppy seeds can lie buried in the ground for 80 years in a dormant coma. They only sprout when the soil gets violently disturbed. That's exactly why during World War I, when bombs tore up the fields and thousands of soldiers churned the mud with their own bodies, poppies burst out by the millions over the graves and trenches, becoming the symbol of the war. The manchineel tree grows in the Caribbean and is one of the most dangerous, toxic trees on Earth. Its sap is so caustic you can't even shelter under it in the rain. A single raindrop that touches the sap and lands on your skin causes third-degree chemical burns. Burn its wood and the smoke can blind you. Eat its fruit and your throat swells shut from the deadly inflammation. Leaving your phone charger plugged in under a pillow or on your bed can actually start a real fire. If the heat can't dissipate properly, the materials around it start to burn. House fires caused by exactly this are more common than people think. Glass roofs on cars look gorgeous, but they're an engineer's worst nightmare. Glass weighs way more than sheet metal, raising the car's center of gravity. That makes the car less stable and more likely to roll over in sharp turns. And in an actual rollover, laminated glass, while it won't cut you, breaks the structural cage that's supposed to protect the chassis. Wearing socks to bed helps you fall asleep about 15 minutes faster. Warming your feet dilates the blood vessels, letting heat escape from your body's core through your feet and hands. As your internal temperature drops, it sends your brain the exact biological signal it needs to release melatonin and power down. PIN numbers have 4 digits because when ATM inventor John Shepard Barron designed the system back in 1967, he wanted 6-digit passwords. His wife told him she could barely remember 4 numbers in a row, let alone 6. So he changed the entire world's banking security standard based on his wife's preference. The Nile River flows north for over 4,000 miles, shattering the mental bias that water always flows south on a map. Rivers don't care about magnetic poles, they simply obey gravity, flowing from the high mountains of Central Africa down to sea level at the Mediterranean. If you're seriously nearsighted, the world actually looks bigger through contacts than through glasses. Glasses sit several millimeters from your eye, creating a reverse magnifying effect that shrinks and distorts your peripheral vision. A contact lens floats right on your cornea, giving you a full, undistorted field of view and showing you the true, real size of everything around you. Hong Kong skyscrapers have massive square holes cut right through the middle of the building because of feng shui. Local belief holds that spirit dragons come down from the mountains every day to drink water from the sea, and if a building blocks their path, it'll suffer bad luck and bankruptcy. 95.7% of passengers involved in commercial plane accidents survive. Most accidents aren't nosedives from 30,000 feet. They're runway overruns during landing or aborted takeoffs. Force-absorbing seats, fire-resistant materials, and training for 90-second evacuations save lives. The coelacanth is a fish that science was 100% sure had gone extinct along with the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. In 1938, someone found a living one at a fish market in South Africa. It has 8 thick, fleshy fins with bones. It moves in alternating pattern, exactly the way land animals move their legs. Tristan da Cunha is the most remote inhabited island on Earth, roughly 1,500 miles from South Africa. There's no airport. Only around 240 people live there permanently, and if you have a heart attack, you're at the mercy of South African fishing boats that take a week to arrive. Spend 4 hours a day on your phone, and that adds up to 60 full days a year. Keep that pace from age 18 to 80, and you'll have spent over 10 years of your life hypnotized in front of a screen, not sleeping, not moving, not creating, not connecting with another human being. Airport firefighters drive trucks called Titans that can go from 0 to 50 miles an hour in under 25 seconds, despite weighing 33 tons. By regulation, they have to be able to reach any point on the runway in under 3 minutes after the alarm sounds. Boxed milk goes through the UHT process. It's blasted at 284 degrees Fahrenheit for just 2 or 3 seconds, then cooled instantly. That violent process wipes out 100% of spores and bacteria without ruining the taste. Since the carton is vacuum sealed, there's no bacteria to spoil it until you crack it open and let air in. Spain's Costa Brava owes its name to journalist Ferran Agulo, who coined it in a newspaper back in 1908. Ironically, that same rugged, wild coastline is what kept giant factories and heavy railways from ever being built there, saving its coves from industrial destruction in the early 20th century. Those bodies you see in the Pompeii museums aren't petrified corpses. The real bodies disintegrated under the ash centuries ago, leaving empty air pockets in the rock. Archaeologists found those pockets, filled them with liquid plaster, and let it set. What you're looking at are exact plaster casts of the shape the bodies left behind as they decomposed. The gharial has the longest, thinnest snout of any reptile, packed with needle-like teeth. That shape lets it slice through water like a sword, whipping its head at high speed to snag slippery fish. A thick snout would create way too much drag underwater. Modern cruise ships have a real jail cell on the lower decks called the brig. It's not just a locked room, it's a cell with bare steel walls, no windows, and a barred door. When 6,000 people are drinking for days straight, crimes happen, and security locks offenders in there until the next port. Tunnels are built curved because a flat ceiling would get crushed in seconds under millions of tons of rock. Shape it like a horseshoe instead, and the mountain's brutal pressure slides down the sides and gets redirected into the ground. Engineers also add slight left-right curves on purpose, so drivers don't zone out into highway hypnosis. The naked mole rat is the only cold-blooded mammal on the planet, and it's also virtually cancer-proof. Its cells have a mechanism that stops them from clumping together, and it can survive 18 minutes without a single drop of oxygen by converting sugar into fructose, just like a plant does. Redness relief eye drops are a trap. They use a vasoconstrictor that forces your tiny veins to shrink and hide. Once the effect wears off hours later, those veins dilate back with double the force, leaving your eyes redder than before, forcing you to buy more drops. For real hydration, eye doctors recommend sticking to artificial tears. The guidance computer for Apollo 11, the one that calculated the trajectories to reach the moon back in 1969, had less processing power than a pocket calculator today. Its memory was 1,000,000 times smaller than the phone sitting in your pocket right now. When a 300-ton plane touches down, its wheels go from 0 to over 150 miles an hour in a split second, melting rubber straight into the asphalt. Over months, the runway builds up a slick black layer of rubber. Airports use trucks that blast ultra-high-pressure water to strip that rubber off so planes don't skid when braking. Those white plastic computers and game consoles from the 90s turn yellow because back then manufacturers used bromine as a flame retardant. Over the years, when that bromine gets hit by the sun's UV light, it chemically oxidizes and stains the plastic yellow from the inside out. The process is irreversible. No amount of cleaning will ever fix it. The gearboxes on the heaviest trucks can have up to 18 speeds, split across high and low ranges. Truckers don't shift through every single one. They jump gears based on the load. An empty truck can pull away perfectly fine in 5th or 6th gear without straining the engine at all. In the year 2020, Luxembourg became the first nation on Earth to make every train, tram, and bus completely free for absolutely everyone, citizens and tourists alike. They literally abolished tickets and train conductors across the entire country to try to cut down on pollution. Lamborghini exists because Enzo Ferrari insulted Ferruccio Lamborghini, telling him a tractor manufacturer had no clue how to drive his sports cars. Lamborghini had made his fortune building farm tractors after World War II and owned a Ferrari with a broken clutch. The insult made him so furious that he founded his own supercar brand for one reason: to crush Ferrari. And he did. Switching tracks on a monorail is an engineering nightmare. On a normal train, a small metal switch on the ground shifts and the train turns. On a monorail, the train hugs a giant concrete beam. So to change routes, massive motors have to physically move entire multi-ton beams. That's exactly why monorails crawl at every junction. BMW developed the electrified wingsuit, a flight suit with electric motors capable of reaching more than 185 miles per hour. The motors in the wings provide stability without the need to jump from extreme heights like traditional wingsuits. It is light, silent, and offers a level of flight control never seen before. Imagine flying through the sky with total freedom powered by cutting-edge German engineering. For firefighters, there is a water shield that deploys in seconds and forms a curtain capable of blocking heat. It can be placed in entrances or hallways so teams can advance much more safely. It is portable, durable, and during the most critical seconds of an emergency, it can save lives. A shield that uses pressurized water instead of metal. An idea as simple as it is brilliant. Airless tires completely eliminate flat tires because they have no inner chamber. They last much longer and require almost no maintenance compared to traditional tires. They are ideal for vehicles operating on difficult terrain or that must keep moving non-stop for hours. A wheel that never deflates, never gives up, and is ready for any condition. Artist Ivan Black creates sculptures made of metallic rings that bend, spin, and return to their original shape. They do not use motors or advanced technology. Everything is held together through balance and structural tension. As they slowly rotate, they create an almost hypnotic feeling of continuous motion. His works invite people to stare at them and reflect on rhythm, time, and the beauty of simplicity. In Japan, men are the ones driving the consumption of luxury artisan chocolates the most. Some brands offer chocolates with rare ingredients at prices exceeding $100 per box. For them, giving or receiving chocolate of that level is a symbol of status and good taste during special occasions. Some people even collect them without eating them, taking the chocolate market to a completely new level. Nadia is a humanoid robot that trains boxing using virtual reality and motion capture. A user controls it remotely, so there is a real person behind the glove moving it in real time. The technology allows safer, more controlled, and more effective training sessions for athletes of any level. The perfect partner. It never gets tired, never gets injured, and never asks for a break. The largest Lego roller coaster in the world has an 85-foot-long track and is built with more than 90,000 pieces assembled with incredible precision. Its carts are also made of Lego and travel along the track powered by a fully functional motorized system. An impressive example of how far imagination and patience can go with plastic blocks. There is a solar-powered GPS collar placed on cattle to create invisible fences through an app. When the animal approaches the program boundary, the collar emits sounds or vibrations to move it away. The animals learn extremely quickly to respect the limits without needing physical fences. A practical, ecological, and inexpensive solution for managing entire grazing areas with complete flexibility. The Mudra Band turns your hand into a remote control for the Apple Watch without touching the screen. With simple finger movements, you can change songs, reply to messages, or adjust watch functions. It is gesture technology in its most everyday and accessible form for any user. Raising a finger to change a song stopped being a metaphor and became a reality on your wrist. There is a drone equipped with a flamethrower that projects a flame up to 23 feet for 100 seconds. It is used for industrial tasks like removing wasp nests in places impossible to reach. It is much safer than sending a person to do that job high above the ground or in dangerous areas. A true technological dragon that flies, aims, and does what no human should ever do by hand. The Capstone Smart Mirror shows the weather and the news while you get ready every morning. It is controlled by gestures, so you do not have to touch anything to use it. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, connects to your calendar, plays music, and integrates with everything. Modern design and useful technology that turn any ordinary bathroom into something straight out of the future. Drones are completely changing the delivery of supplies in remote and hard-to-reach areas. They transport medicine, food, and essential equipment with an efficiency no traditional vehicle can match. They also monitor natural disasters and protect entire ecosystems from the air. They are redefining how we respond to emergencies and how we protect the environment. Fabiano Milani is a Brazilian hyperrealist painter whose portraits are indistinguishable from a photograph. In his works, you can see pores, reflections in the eyes, and even the exact texture of skin. And everything is done by hand in oil paint without a single digital tool. Looking at one of his paintings feels like having a real living person staring back at you from inches away. Robot dogs that deactivate bombs come equipped with cameras, sensors, and specialized tools. They can move through stairs, mud, and rubble without ever losing balance. Their agility and durability make them perfect allies for security teams in critical situations. Brave, obedient, and always doing the most dangerous work without putting any human at risk. Mojo Vision developed contact lenses with augmented reality that have screens, sensors, and wireless connectivity built directly into the lens itself. They allow you to see floating statistics in front of your eyes without using any other device. Functional prototypes are already being tested in research environments. The future of the human-digital interface will literally be worn on the pupil. Grass skiing uses skis with wheels and was invented in Germany as training for the summer season. Competitions reach high speeds racing down green hills, requiring the same balance technique and reflexes as skiing on snow. It is the summer version of traditional skiing, just as exciting and demanding. A creative way to stay in shape all year long without depending on winter. The Mariel Water Park in Qatar has 45 attractions and 53 slides for every taste. Its main tower stands 279 feet tall and went straight into the Guinness World Records. It became a symbol of innovation and family entertainment in the Middle East. With world-class infrastructure, it is already an undeniable regional landmark. In the eyes of the animal is an experience that lets you see the world the way a mosquito, a frog, or an owl would. It combines 360-degree visuals with binaural sound to create a completely immersive sensation. You put on the headset and suddenly you see, hear, and feel like that animal. Art, technology, and science fuse together to create deep empathy for other forms of life. In several Asian cities, there are vending machines that prepare your own ramen instantly. You choose the type of noodles and toppings from a touchscreen, and within seconds, the machine assembles the dish. Some places even have tables so you can enjoy it there freshly made. Technology and food culture perfectly fuse for ramen lovers with little time. Bionic boots have sensors that detect your movements and motors that boost every step. They allow you to reach up to 12 miles per hour while walking without lifting your feet off the ground. They are perfect for athletes, people in rehabilitation, or workers who need to move constantly. Prototypes that promise to forever change the way humans walk and run. The robotic gardener detects every plant in the garden, identifies weeds and waters exactly what each plant needs. It moves delicately, avoiding all obstacles without touching a single flower. It monitors soil conditions and adjusts its work to keep everything in optimal shape. It is like having an expert gardener working through the night who never gets tired and knows every plant individually. The levitating moon lamp floats above a wooden base thanks to a magnetic system with no visible support. It slowly spins in the air, emitting a warm, soft light that instantly changes the atmosphere. Having the moon floating inside your home stopped being a metaphor and became a real decorative option. People who see it for the first time cannot avoid reacting with amazement. Male kangaroos flex their massive biceps in front of females during courtship. The larger and more toned the biceps, the higher the chances of getting their attention. Scientists documented it as part of sexual selection based entirely on appearance. Even in the wild, there is room for physical showing off as a seduction strategy. There is a jet-powered flight suit that reaches 3,280 feet in just 30 seconds. The compact engines are controlled with the movements of the body itself without external controls. Its applications range from rescues in inaccessible areas to professional extreme entertainment. Flying using only your body as the controller is already a reality available to the bravest people. Photochromic lenses automatically darken when exposed to ultraviolet rays from the sun. It is a chemical reaction inside the lens itself that changes the color within seconds. When you return indoors, they go back to their original transparency without you having to do anything. Continuous protection and comfort, adapting to every lighting change throughout the day. The Fire Escape Backpack is a backpack designed for emergencies in tall buildings with a rope and a controlled braking system. It anchors to a window and allows you to descend floor by floor when the stairs are blocked. It is like a compact urban parachute that can give you a second chance during the most critical moments. It is already being used in countries with massive skyscrapers as a smart fire safety solution. The Evo Bluetooth speaker floats on water, whether in a pool, the ocean, or a bathtub, while playing music perfectly. It has LED lights that change color to the rhythm of the music, turning any swim into a party. It withstands impacts, splashes, and falls, and even lets you answer calls from the water. Music, light, and water in perfect synchronization inside one single device built for summer. The Migo Robotics is a cleaning robot that climbs stairs and moves across different floors of a home without human help. It detects steps using artificial intelligence, climbs them, and keeps sweeping and vacuuming on every level. Its long-lasting battery lets it work for hours non-stop. The clearest proof that the smart cleaning future is already available today. The Biorb is a glass sphere filled with bioluminescent plankton that produces a magical blue glow in the dark. You only need to shake it slightly, and it lights up like a galaxy trapped inside glass. It needs no batteries or cables because the light is generated naturally by the marine organisms themselves. Literally nature creating magic, and on top of that, it is a beautiful decorative object. Nimbus is a police cat from Amsterdam that patrols a houseboat wearing its own official vest. It does its job with such a friendly and attentive personality that it conquered the entire internet. Videos of it seriously patrolling its territory have accumulated millions of views. Without question, the most beloved, photographed, and viral security officer in all of the Netherlands. Samsung's Bali is a little smart ball that follows you around the house, controls the lights, and much more. It projects movies onto the wall, recognizes voice commands, gestures, and even your mood. If it sees you sad, it rolls closer. If you want music, it plays it. If you left a light on, it turns it off by itself. A mix between gadget, butler, and technological best friend, all packed into a sphere. The Cricut Joy cuts paper, fabric, cardboard, and vinyl with a precision that rivals an industrial laser. You simply choose the design from an app, and within seconds the result is perfectly cut. It is like having a mini creative factory at home, ideal for making unique gifts or starting a business. A machine that looks like a toy, but cuts with the precision of a technological ninja. Jellyfish aquariums use color-changing LED lighting that makes the creatures look like aliens. The jellyfish float hypnotically in slow motion, creating an unforgettable visual spectacle. The entire system is hidden, and the result is a tiny piece of the ocean inside your house, with a futuristic aesthetic. Many people use them to relax or meditate after an exhausting day. A video recently went viral showing how to close a gift bag without tape staples or anything else. The technique consists of folding and interlocking the paper itself, inspired by Japanese origami. The result is a clean, professional, and secure closure without needing any extra materials. One of those tricks that looks obvious once you see it, but nobody ever taught you before. There is a 6-legged robot controlled remotely that keeps its balance on the toughest terrain. It climbs, slopes, crosses, rubble, and operates in places where traditional wheels would not even dare to enter. It is ideal for disaster zone exploration, rescues, or complex industrial work. It looks like science fiction, but it is already being used in real rescue operations. The Neo Ruler is a digital ruler that divides any space into equal parts without you calculating anything. You simply mark the two ends, and the screen instantly shows the exact division. Perfect for design, carpentry, architecture, or anyone who hates estimating measurements by eye. Thin, elegant, and extremely precise, it eliminates human error from any measurement. The patch tattoo is a tattoo style that simulates the texture of an embroidered patch sewn directly onto the skin. The secret lies in how the shadows are worked with the ink, creating a brutal, three-dimensional illusion. At first glance, anyone would swear there is a fabric patch attached to the arm. Permanent art with a guaranteed surprise effect that makes people look twice every time. Kojiro is a robot that plays drums with a precision many humans simply cannot reach. Its movements are so exact that it performs the most complex rhythms without missing a single beat. It can play at real concerts without the audience noticing any difference from a human drummer. Watching it in action makes it hard to believe there is not a real musician behind that precision. The interactive fountain in Brno changes color and moves according to intelligent systems programmed in real time. Its design responds to the environment, creating patterns and visual displays loved by tourists and locals alike. Technology and nature fuse together to transform a public space into a multi-sensory experience. An urban jewel proving how creativity can improve the places where we live. The personal underwater propulsion device pushes divers underwater, reducing physical effort to zero. It is compact, safe, and easy to use even for people with no technical experience. Ideal for marine expeditions, scientific research, or simply enjoying the ocean with total freedom. It turns any swimmer into a deep-sea explorer with no visible limits. The mirror house in Joshua Tree is built with glass panels that completely reflect the desert landscape. From the outside, it looks invisible, an architectural mirage blending into nature itself. Inside, everything is modern, comfortable, and filled with breathtaking panoramic views. The dream home for anyone seeking total privacy without losing connection to untouched nature. There is a travel hammock with a cup holder and built-in pillow that sets up in seconds without trees or ropes. It comes inside a compact case, perfect for the beach, camping, or a good nap indoors. It has space for your drink, phone, or a book while you relax comfortably. Premium comfort in its most portable form, built for people who never stop moving. Virtual makeup running at 1,000 frames per second adapts perfectly to every movement of your face. You smile, blink, or turn your head, and the digital makeup follows everything without a single delay. It is like having a magical mirror to try any style without touching a real brush. Technology and beauty combined in an experience so realistic, it is almost impossible to distinguish from physical makeup. At the closing ceremony of the Tokyo Paralympic Games, athletes with different abilities performed a breathtaking choreography. Using wheelchairs, prosthetics, and perfectly synchronized movements, they showed that sports know no limits. The performance put inclusion and the power of sports as a universal language at the center of attention. An emotional farewell that took the meaning of those historic games to another level. The software running air traffic control towers and reservation systems at many airports still runs on code from the 1980s and 90s, with black screens and green text. Aviation lives by one rule: if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And that's a wrap. Smash that like, subscribe to Zarpado, and hit the bell. Share it with someone who loves learning. They'll thank you for it. See you in the next one.